everybody. Hopefully it worked. I'm flying solo today, so hopefully the streaming's up and running. So welcome. It's the Trader's Journey podcast. My name is Ashley, coming to you from Vancouver, and it's February 1st, 2025. So no Isaac today. As I said, I'm flying solo, so be gentle. So we got a lot, I guess, going on with our friend over the border. So we're going to, I just need to check to make sure that we're running live here and everything is good. Hopefully, I really hope we're okay. This is the first time I've ever done this, so let me just go and check to make sure we're doing okay here. Just give me 1 minute. Oh yeah, and it looks like we're going live. So hopefully nothing is wrong and everything is good. Let's see that. Let's see if we're okay. Want to make sure. Hopefully nothing is wrong. Yeah. Oh well, looks like we're good. So that's good. All right. Well, back to normal. All right. So I got a few questions I want to go over. Maybe keep it a little later than usual. But I got a few questions about the complexity of trading. We talk, this is a journey, right? A lot of people, they ask me, how do I trade? And how did I navigate this, trading? And, it's not easy. I'm not going to lie. It has its challenges. But a lot of the time, the challenges come from within, right? Because we know we desperately want to succeed. We desperately want to make money. And we think this is a vehicle to do that. And, sometimes, we just want to make a good trade. And we want it to go the way we believe it's going. Right? So, I haven't hidden my challenges coming through this. And I still have challenges. So we're always going to have challenges because we're human. And I actually read something the other day. I mean, we talk about it takes 21 days to create a habit, and now they're disputing that and saying, no, it takes a lot longer, which I kind of agree. I think, to create habit, you need discipline, you need to do it over and over again. I mean, I don't know if anybody watches or plays basketball or watches and plays golf, in anything really, they're always practicing. And not like strategies or tactics. It's they're throwing the ball, or they're driving or the driving range, or they're putting. So they're constantly refining and doing things. And trading's no different. I think I believe that the reason trading is kind of like it is because there's money involved. We want to do well, right? So, I mean, I struggled for years trying to understand this, and there's so much complexity. And I think I have a habit of bringing in that complexity. complexity to you, which I'm trying not to do, but I'm also, like to say, at the end of the day, just keep it simple. And, this is why we have the technical analysis. But when you understand the macro and the fundamentals and, kind of see those drivers, is it GDP, employment, interest rate, they're really important, right? And when you understand the Fed and what they're doing and what they're looking at, because they'll tell you, we just had the FOMC, we had the rate from US, and I mean, there is lots of places we can go to find out information. But in the monetary policy or in the report or in the statement, you can find little nuggets of information of what they're looking at. So this is what I do. One of the questions is, Jeffy emailed me and asked me, well, you look at the news, what kind of news do you look at? How do you trade it? It's actually quite, a little, not long enough podcast for me to go over that. But creating the bias is the first step, is creating the bias of, are they, initiating monetary policy? Are they not? What are they doing? And what are they looking at to make those decisions? And for the longest time, the Fed were looking at the interest rate, right? Inflation, sorry, not interest rate, inflation. So they were looking for things that, project inflationary measure situation. So the one they look at is the PCE, which is the personal consumption of what all individuals purchase, because they believe that gives a sign on what's to come. But there's more. There's, I think I mentioned before, I look at the yield curve. I look at interest rates itself. I think that kind of paints a picture of the future. So you will start, as you go through this journey, that you will start to find what works for you. And yes, do I trade all the news? No, I basically don't really trade the news. I don't, per se, sit down and get everything ready and say, okay, I'm going to wait for the news to come out and I'm going to trade it. I don't do that. I have an overall bias of what I believe is going to happen. And when the news comes out, hopefully I'm on the right side of it. If I'm not, I have levels, right, of as long as I'm in that level, this is a temporary move to the opposite way. And especially the currencies, you've got to realize you've got one currency against another. So you've got one situation against another situation. So manufacturing could come out on this currency and, employment could come out on this currency. Now, if employment is very important in this particular, say, Great British Pound, the UK, employment is really big on their radar, and, and that takes precedent, right? It's like, okay, if there comes out good and this manufacturing comes out, it's okay. It's going to make a move, on the positive side for the UK, the Great British Pound. But it's not to say that move is going to be permanent. Hopefully you understand what I mean. This is why we have trends in the market. And one of the other questions, I want to mix this because there was another question about price action. They said, well, look, do you use price action? Well, what is price action to you? And I go, well, I'll tell you, that's a really interesting question because, I've had lots of people tell me what price action is and what price action isn't. So when I research it, I look at what is price action. The most sort of common one I came up with, and it was really good, I thought, was, it's movement of price over a period of time. And well, what does that tell you, right? Nothing. But if you dig a little deeper, movement of price creating a pattern. So a repeatable pattern, whether it's a double top, double bottom, a support resistance, an ascending triangle, a bull flag, Head and Shoulders, whatever it is, to me that's all price action. So, am I a price action trader? Well, I guess so. I mean, I look for levels. What are levels? Levels are, high probability areas that the market will have a tendency to move, either up or down. So if I have a level, and call it support if you want, doesn't really matter what you name it. We have a line across there that there's a bunch of lows on there and it's created a support. And if I'm above that level, my bias is to buy. If I'm below it, my bias changes. Now, if I'm looking to buy and I have that level there, and it goes below that level and closes, doesn't necessarily mean to say that I'm continuously selling, unless something has changed in my bias. Hopefully that makes sense. It's really hard to kind of, explain it and show it. This is why we want to do, I did have another question about, when is the course coming? We're not really doing a course, but we're going to do a series of videos to help you guys. And we've actually had some other developments that we're kind of looking at doing. I'll go over them a little bit later. But, resources for finding news, right? I mean, I do a lot on Forex Factory. I do go to Financial Juice. I do go to Just Forex. I used to use Just Forex a lot, but I don't really use it much now. I like, what is it called? I forgot what they're called now. I will drop that resource in the recording of where I go, and it gives you some free stuff, right? And there are some things I pay for, right? I think when you get to a certain level, you realize that, hey, I need some sort of more help in understanding, what's happening. But I think at the end of the day, it's creating that bias that, okay, what is the bias of the US right now? Well, it's a little confusing, and this is where we're going to go into this question of, what's Donald Trump doing? What about the tariffs? What do I see happening? How's it going to affect the economy? How's it going to do this? In my short answer is I have no idea. Because I don't know what he's thinking. Because it's going against all convention. There's a guy that wants to put, a tariff on Mexico that 91% of their avocados they grow go to Mexico, go to the US. So why would you want to put a tariff on it? It doesn't make sense. But what do I know, right? I'm in Canada. 4 million barrels a day go to the US. We're the #1 supplier. OPEC is 1 million. And then there's, I think, Venezuela, there's some other, Mexico, I think, sent some. Now, he did say maybe those, I'm not really sure if the tariffs are going to go on oil today, but I did see some narrative that he was going to wait until February, and it's going to happen. And he actually came out yesterday and said, Canada can't do anything, it's going to happen. So, all right, well, you're going to do it, fine. And I'm not sure. I don't know, because here's the thing. Canada doesn't control the price of oil. The price of oil is controlled by supply and demand and other factors, market sentiment and stuff like that, futures contracts. And, the Canada doesn't say, oh, I'm going to sell it to you for this much. No, it's global. The price is set based on supply and demand. It'll go up and it'll go down. It's a commodity. So I don't know where he's coming from that, because it doesn't make sense. There again, Donald moves to the beat of his own drama, and he has some kind of agenda, and I have no idea what it is. I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist, so not a crazy one, but I have my thoughts. Sometimes to strengthen a country, you have to bring it to its knees. Maybe that's what he's doing. I don't know. Because now there are even you know, his own party people, his own people are starting to question, hey, hold on a minute. You know, I understand you saying that, let's negotiate. Let's get in the middle ground here. Maybe we can do that. But he hasn't done that. He says, no, it's going to happen. It's 25%. It's happening today. And you can't do anything about it. So, all right. So is that him just being, the schoolyard bully? Maybe, but we don't know his agenda. And, maybe he has more stuff coming down the road. The administration is trying to work things out. Even people from his own administration that negotiate these deals are questioning it. So they don't realize how much we rely on Canada for those resources. 91% of our exports go to the States. So is that going to hurt Canada? Well, I don't think you can turn the tap off of oil right away. I think it's going to take a time. Whether that'll show effect in 3 months, I don't know. But oil prices affect everything, not just at the gas pump, but when you got jets and you got traveling and you got like supply delivering, it affects everything. Heating, right? I mean, manufacturing. So then, after a while, we're going to start seeing those prices raised, not just at the pump, but other areas. How are the American people going to react? And I have a lot of American friends, and they're just like, WTF, what are we going to do? And the sad part is, I thought, well, we knew it was coming. He told us. And a good friend of mine says to me, yeah, we know he said it, but we didn't think he would actually do it. I said, well, man, dude. Usually Donald does what he says, so I'm a little bit surprised. So 25% tariffs on Canada, 25% on Mexico, and 10% on China. And I saw a report today, Euro tariffs are coming as well. So what does the rest of the world do? Well, they have to find somewhere else to sell their stuff, right? So there's plenty of people out there that want to be clients and customers. I don't understand, if I try to use logic a lot. It may be wrong to use logic, but I think sometimes you have to be logical. So I look at it like this. I say, okay, so if he's going to increase 25%, that means the end user, the one who's bringing it over, is going to pay. And if he doesn't want to pay that, that means the people selling it lose the sale. I get that. But I look at it that where else are they going to get the product from? So if he's going to get oil, and he's, let's say tariffs that, I don't know, he hasn't said he will yet, maybe, right? Where else is he going to get those 4 million barrels from? It's going to cost him the same, but if you look at OPEC, where that is, Middle East, and you look at the other countries, right, that sell oil, I think Venezuela is one, Russia is another one, I guess, I don't know. I should have done my due diligence, my apologies. But that's a lot further than it is from Canada, so, you can buy the product, but your delivery costs may be more expensive, right? So I just don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. So, but, the people, the American people are already saying, what the heck's going on here? Right? We've got a great relationship, trade relationship with these partners, as they call them, and you're throwing the wrecking ball on it. And we'll see what happens. Because I really don't know. And we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. So we just have to play a wait and see game, right? I was just looking at a question here that I had. So we thought DeepSeek is obviously another thing that's big in the market. I'll make a brief comment on that. I mean, yeah, you just got a new kid on the block, and it's from China, and it caused Nvidia to drop. I'm not really 100% sure that was the reason Nvidia dropped, but I think what happened, it started to drop because it was overvalued. It needed to come back down. But I think people started to jump on the bandwagon a little bit. You know, it's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And, you know, I think it lost around 20%. So, yeah, you know, so great opportunity to buy again, right? Great opportunity, you know, once it settles. And this, you know, DeepSeek's new, you know, and yeah, it looks good on the surface right now, and everyone's saying, yeah, it's good, it's great. But do we really know? You know, I think we just, you know, we've still got to see how that plays out, right? Well, it reminds me of the, you know, the dot-com bubble when the internet first started. You had all these flyers coming in and out, you know, making tons of money and then losing tons of money. And this just seems the same cycle is kind of happening again with AI. And it's interesting. You know, the fact is that we can make money on it. And that's coming back to that question of like, well, how do you deal with the news? And I try and, you know, not let it bother me too much, unless it's the driver, unless it's the main driver, meaning if that's what they're looking at, and they're looking at this, I need to look at it too. You know, the inflation, interest rates, and the yield curve has been, you know, my main source of, oh, what am I looking at here? But after that, it really goes to the charts to me. And it's like, what is market sentiment? What are they doing? And this is where I mark my levels, and I, you know, kind of prepare myself, and then I make a plan. And sometimes that plan works out, and sometimes it doesn't work out. But here's the thing. If I have the proper risk to reward, right, which is keep my risk at a certain percentage of my account, right, I'm not going to blow my account. Excuse me. I'm not going to be hurt. So that's the name of the game, right? Is to have your rules, have the way you do things, and trade accordingly. That's what I like to do. Getting back to one of the questions, you know, about, you know, your method of trading, you do it a course, what do you do? And Isaac and I have been in discussion about creating these videos, and we have to be, we're not 100% yet because there's legal ramifications, right? So we have to get some advice on how we do this, because we're not, you know, we're giving our opinions here. You know, we're not financial advisors. So the whole idea is just to kind of, you know, tell you our journey and what we're doing. So we have to have some kind of protection for us, is that, you know, we're not giving you financial advice. We're not saying this is the way to do it, although we are. I mean, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I'm going to get told off for saying that. But this is what we do. This is what I'm doing. This is how I do it. And, you know, be your own person too. You know, this is a little bit like signals, right? When people say, hey, what about a signal service? Which was one of the questions before. It's like, you know, do you have a signal service? What do you think a signal service is? Well, I think the challenge you have with signal service, and they have their usage, and I do believe that they are good if you know, have the right context. So if you're familiar with how that person trades and what their biases is and stuff like that, then having a signal service is good, because, you know, sometimes it's hard going through all these currencies and all these stocks and all this stuff to understand what do I trade, where do I trade, like, so having that, you know, sort of a single service of, hey, this is what we're looking at, this is the level we're at, we want to be above there, then once we're above there, we will exercise to look for a trade, and this is our method of how we enter, and we're looking to trade to this level, and, you know, we use Fibonacci's to get there. So, you know, so that's kind of it in a nutshell, right? You know, so we've been talking about, I think the big thing for us is a community, right? It's saying, yeah, what about if we did the community and we kind of did this? And, you know, last week, if you were listening to last week's podcast, and, you know, Isaac was saying, yeah, you know, actually, you should do this every day. You know, yeah, okay, more work for me. You know, not saying I don't want to do it, but I think there's legal ramifications there. And also, um, yeah, you know, I got to be on my toes. And, you know, I do have a job, right? So, you know, I have to be conscious of that. So that's something we're looking into. I'm leaning more towards the fact of, well, let's do a community. Let's do, you know, something where people can come on board and learn the method properly, get the right training, get the right teachings, and get the support. It's important for me that if we're doing a community, and we are talking paid community here, I'm not, you know, not free, I am talking paid, because I think when we have something like that, the expectation can, you know, be very equal of what people expect. So I think it's a little easier that way. Not that I don't mind sharing, but I don't have, you know, there's a certain sort of responsibility that goes with, well, you know, I need to provide you with this because you're a paying client. I don't want it to be crazy. It's something more of have some skin in the game. So when you have these videos to watch to learn, you should watch them. This is one of the things in my journey that I remember is that there was just so many videos. Oh my God, so many. And it got overwhelming. And it got to the point it was where you watch a video, now what, right? It's like, well, you learned something. Yeah, trouble is, you know, I only remember 20% of it. And I have a method of like how I believe people should learn is by execution, right? You know, they take action. So the idea being is that you learn something properly, but then you go ahead and you do some assignments and homework and, you know, all the boring stuff, because remember, you're trying to create belief, right? If you create belief on something, you will follow it and it'll become habitual. So that's the habit, right? So you have to be disciplined on that belief before it can become a habit. Hopefully you understand that, right? And we've talked about focusing on the main thing. We talk about first, you know, principle learning. You know, we've discussed this many times. What's the first principle of trading? The first principle of trading is buying and selling, right? So then we break it down deeper into those little easy to understand concepts. And I think that when I went through all that of watching these videos, and I would have a question, and then I would get the answer back. Maybe, you know, it was very rare I got the answer back in a day. Maybe it's a lot better now, but this is way back when. So I would get the answer back maybe a day or two later, and it was like, yeah, go watch this video. So it's like when you look at the pyramid, you know, there's a pyramid of learning, and it shows you the highest percentage. I will add that actually on this. I'll add a link to it. You guys can see it. And the best way to learn something is to teach it. Now you may go, well, I don't even know myself. How the hell can I teach it? Well, there's ways you can simulate that, and we simulate that using the daily journal by writing in there. I used to talk to my kids. I used to stand up and I'm going to teach you this. And look at me bluntly like, what the hell has Dad been on? Like, what's going on with him, right? But I'm a big proponent of, you know, when you speak, you hear. When you write, you see, right? And you're using all your senses, right? You're listening. You're receiving it through your ears. You're speaking it out, right? You're looking at it, and you write it with a pen. I think writing with a pen is great because those neural sort of muscles that you're using feeds back into the brain. So I'm a big proponent of that. And, you know, I have seen, people come and go. And the ones that are truly successful are the ones that are boring. And what I mean by that, I like the excitement and I like getting pumped up, and I'm a big fan of Rocky Balboa with his speech to his son, how this is how winning's done, right? It's like, yeah, I really love that. And I think it's important to do that, and I think it's important to have your why, and I think it's really important to get involved there. But really and truly, the transformation comes by doing the boring shit. And the boring shit being, oh, I saw this, I gotta write this down. Oh, I'm gonna practice this. Okay, yeah, there's another, okay, yeah, I'll mark that, yeah, okay, let me send that off, make sure that's correct. Somebody look at my work. So yeah, am I a big believer of a mentor? Yeah, absolutely, 100%, 150%. I mean, nothing, the noodle, the needle did not move for me until I had mentors. And, I was lucky. I think I got some really good mentors. One in particular, but the others were good too. And, yeah, why I had more than one? Yeah, I did. Right? Because I was in this like mode of I gotta learn everything. You don't, but the difference is from me and probably other traders. Other traders are using this vehicle, because that's what it is. It's a vehicle to get you something. The something is money that you can use to get something else. Okay? So the vehicle is trading. You could go open your own little side business. You can go work an extra job. There's tons of things you can do for extra money, right? So the vehicle for a lot of people is trading. Because why? Because they think it's easy, because they think it's a lower barrier of entry, which it is, but there's a lot to learn. And the thing is that when you do the boring stuff of preparing and planning, things like looking for opportunities to trade become easier. Because over time you start recognizing, oh, I've seen this before, and oh, I've known this because I wrote this before and I saw this. Let's recap what happened. Spatial awareness is a key one, right? It's just like, how is it, like, I have new guys that join me. They go, how is it you look at a chart and you just pick? Well, I've been doing it 16 years. Play a guitar for 16 years, you're going to be a pretty good player, right? It's a bit like cooking. I'm a chef by trade. So a lot of the times, my kids used to say, how do you, I said, oh, take that out, it's ready. How do you know? It's ready, trust me. And they go, well, how do you know? I said, I just feel it. It's just there, And I always just joke with my middle son right now. He's 40 now, and he used to work with me. We used to cook a lot of steaks, and I would always check the steaks. And he said, why do you check the steaks? Why you? I said, just confirming. I'm just making sure. He said, you're pretty good at it. You should know. I said, yeah, I do, but I'm just checking. He goes, oh, okay. Well, I haven't had a steak sent back to me for ages. I said, uh-oh, you're going to get one coming back now. And literally, this was, I don't know, 1 week, anyway, literally a week later, after the weekend, he phoned me and said, I can't believe it, I got 3 steaks sent back. I said, see, when you mess with karma comes back and bites you in the ass. And that's what it is. So, kind of a little thing there. But the thing is, how do you get good at something? It's experience. Hours on the driving range, right? Hours practicing chords, hours, I literally, honest to God here, when I was learning cooking, I sucked at making Hollandaise sauce. I always used to split and break. It used to just piss me off like crazy. I couldn't get it. So I did some research and started reading different recipes, different this, different that. So I'm trying to understand the science of it, right? Why does whisking egg yolks overheat? What happens? It's like a Pac-Man, a protein, where it opens up and it grabs the fat, expands. It's incredible. Anyway, I went out and bought my own butter, brought my own eggs, brought everything, and came in on my day off at the hotel to make this hollandaise. To the point where the Susan goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm practicing hollandaise." He said, "Well, aren't you off today?" I go, "Yeah." He said, "Well, where did all this stuff go?" So I bought it. He goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah." So I'm making it, doing this. And the chef comes along. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just frustrated. The bloody hollandaise keeps splitting. There's got to be a better way to add flour to it," which is what some of the guys were doing. Disgusting. So he was so like, "Oh my God, that's awesome." He said, "Do you have the receipt?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Give it to me." So he takes the receipt and gives me my money back. That was pretty cool, right? Because it showed initiative on my part to, get better. And when I tell people my hollandaise recipe, they go, "What the? Really?" It's nothing crazy. It's just the steps you do scientifically to get it really good. I touch wood. Not that I make hollandaise a lot these days. My hollandaise doesn't separate or split. So, and no, I don't use a RoboCoupe or a blender. It's whisking by hand. So the point is that going back to those roots is what got me ahead in the trading game, because I realized, well, okay, what is it that makes this currency go up? What is it that makes this currency go down? So the relationship of strength and weakness to do with the economy, to do with the GDP, right? So why is the GDP important? Because that's their, sort of how they are within a company. If you look at a company, it's the bottom line, right? And well, what's important today? Because in a company, you could have an increase in gas, oil. Yeah, okay, right. I just said it, but yeah. So gas can go up in price, which means it's going to affect your cost of delivering goods, right? So your focus now is, oh my God, how do I manipulate that price spike? That overhead is costing me money. What do I got to do? Where can I look at somewhere else? What if it goes up again? I got to monitor it, right? And you got to look at the average wage. Are there people looking for jobs? What is the unemployment like? Now, for a company, if unemployment is getting up there, it's good because they know they can draw. And they don't have to give extra. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, you know what? We can get a workforce, no problem. So just like that, a country, right, with its economic power or weakness is derived from certain um, drivers, right? And as we said before, right, the feds, right, whichever country you're looking at, is looking at something in particular. And with the Fed being the Federal Reserve, they were looking at, anything to do with inflationary, right? And then they were looking at, we're looking at jobs right now, the thing is, going forward, everybody is saying the same thing. We're going to look at the data. So we're very data dependent now. I mean, it's good in one way, but it's bad in another way because we get data coming out every day, right? So you may have a bias to go to the downside on something and say, well, I'm selling this, which means, say, JPY, for example, to say, okay, JPY is going to get strong, which means if you trade the JPY, most currencies, USD JPY, CAD JPY, Euro JPY. So JPY is getting strength. It's going down on a chart. So, which sometimes people can't get their head around, because if it's going down, why is it's not getting stronger? That's to do with the base currency, the quote currency, and all that kind of stuff. It's you need less yen to purchase euro, less yen to purchase US dollars, so that means it's getting stronger. Hopefully that makes sense. So there are factors that cause this, right? Now, here's the other thing. The factors can change from different country to different country, right? So what is this country looking at to oppose to that country? So it can be different, and so it's not always the same. So, for example, gold, right? Australia mines gold, right? They provide gold, China, right? So, sometimes, we're looking at gold increasing. Why isn't the Australia dollar increasing? Well, it's because gold is now dependent on market sentiment of, oh, I want a safe haven. So it's not necessarily supply and demand. So it becomes kind of like, we had, a lot of buying gold because of conflicts, right? So it's uncertainty. So you learn those things over time, and you get that, what we call experience. But if you don't have a foundation, so if you don't have a foundation of, practicing your chords on, your guitar, it's very hard to learn to play really, really well over time, right? So you need that foundation. So the foundation, in my mind, for trading currencies is understanding the economic situation, political situation, the social situation in a country that is going to give it a good GDP. Are they economically strong? Now, that country could also be wanting to have a weak currency, right? Because they do a lot of trade and they want people to, have buying power so they can buy more. So it's different. It's different for everybody. Canada just reduced their interest rate again, right? So I think it was 6 or 7 times they've lowered their interest rate. And now they're saying, hey, things are come down, things are good, may not be lowering rates in the near future, right? We know we've had this from the euro just dropped theirs as well. The US have been talking about lowering rates, and they didn't come. Powell turned around and just kind of ignored President Trump and just business as usual. They're just doing their thing, and basically said, we're looking at the data. And even though they're at I think it's 2.6 or 2.8, inflation went up a little tick again, and I've been saying that for a while. It's like, inflation's not where they want it to be. But his comments is, yeah, we know it's a little high, but, we know we're getting there. Okay, all right, dude. We gotta listen, I guess. They're gonna do what they do, and what will be, will be. So we've been working on U.S. weakness over this past week. That's what I'm looking at. And, why? Well, it's based on, levels again, right? It's what I believe is my bias. And we have roles played out in our technical analysis of looking at a chart. And that has been ingrained in my head over a period of time of, okay, I see what's happening here. This is what I believe is going to happen, so I'm going to mark that off. I'm looking for this. If it does this, I will do this. So this is what I do. And made a great trade on the NAS 100 because of something, and I had a gap, and I traded to the gap, and it went there. It took a week, but it did good. And so, yeah, it's creating those rules, but you have to start somewhere. You have to start. You can't absorb everything. And I like talking about stuff. I'm a bit of a geek. Yeah, you know what? Let's look at this. Let's let's learn about this. what does this mean? Having that discussion is kind of cool, right? But it's just that. It's just a discussion, you know. I mean, I like to hear about stuff like that. Does it affect my trading? Maybe not so much. It's kind of nice to kind of talk about what Trump is thinking and what's going to happen. Now, you know, I have been talking to some traders that, you know, they said, oh, you said you love Trump because of the trade. I said, yeah, I do. He moves the market. He said, yeah, but it's crazy. It's, you know, it's all over the place. I said, yeah, that's why you have to adapt to that condition of the market. And I said, we talk about this all the time, market sentiment of why, you know, take what you give you, right? Now, you know, yeah, a few years ago, a lot of my trades, you know, 400, 600 pips. Now it's like, oh, okay, you know, 200, do I get 150, right? And you've got to be smart about it. And at the end of the day, you are you Inc. You are your own company. You don't, you know, inherit or anybody else. You don't have, you know, who cares about, you know, what does they say now? What is your winning ratio? Who gives a shit, right? Are you making money? It's okay. It doesn't matter if you've lost 6 trades in a row and you won 2, as long as you're to the good. There's nothing wrong with it. You can go back and look and learn, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better to A, reduce the amount of loss? What if I'd have done this, or could I have done that? Yeah, that's why we have the daily journal, right? Tied in with the trading journal. That's written correctly, not just I entered here, my stop loss is here, my target is here. That's not a trading journal. That's just writing down the trade. Write down why you go. What is the reason that you're buying or selling, right? And, you know, sometimes, you know, you write, I was waiting for this, and this news is coming out. I've heard about this, right? So it gives you more insights to when you do reflection, because this is one of the things too. If you don't reflect on your trades and what you've done, how do you learn it? Right? Trust me, I know it's difficult. I know it's like, oh my God, it's such a pain in the ass. Why don't we just go there, see a trader, trade it? Well, yeah, try it. You know, you'll see. After a while, it just gets frustrating. It just gets like, oh shit, you know what? Now I'm losing again. Right? And, you know, I've had students come to me, like, you know, clients, and they say, oh, you know, I'm a breakout trader, right? Just trades, you do is a breakout, get that breakout. It's great. I go, yeah, okay, good strategy. So, you know, what's your average pips? You go, oh, you know, 200, 300. Okay, great. What's your stop loss? No, we don't have a stop loss. You know, that's another thing, right? You know, you gotta have a stop loss. Or if you're sitting in front of this is me, maybe this is just me, maybe you're different, but if you're sitting in front of the computer watching the chart all day, right, is that really what you signed up for? I don't think so, right? I wouldn't anyway. I'm not saying you can't pick a time from this time to this time, you know, as the market, maybe, you know, you get up at 8 o'clock and you look at the market and say, okay, I'm going to place these trades, and then I'm going to come back 4 hours later and see what's happening. That's good, right? You can do that. I've done that many times. But this trading the breakout sometimes, how many false breakout? How many times? This is a question I always ask. So how many times have you sat there, you place a trade, it breaks out nicely, and you think, oh my God, let's go into the moon because it's such a big breakout. You think it's going to continuously going up. And it pulls back and pulls back and pulls back, and then goes below where you entered. So the, you know, where the breakout happened, right? That candle, it's now gone past that low of that candle. Well, 99% of the time, that's going to keep going down. So the breakout was a quick break to sell high. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but when we get a huge, huge spike, huge breakout, 98% of the time that market's coming back, and typically to where it started. You can look on any charts. I'm talking a big, big move up, big, big move. So you only know this by documenting. You only start learning this by, oh yeah, look, I saw that. That was, yeah, absolutely. Oh, I see the situation again. So we have a very, how do we, my method, how do I, combat that situation of protecting myself from a false breakout? I don't trade the actual breakout itself. By wanting to break and close above the level, wherever it is, the wedge, triangle, doesn't matter, trend line, if it breaks it and closes, I want to retracement. 50% of the original candle, yes, 50%, or to the backside of the level line that it broke. So whether it's a box, whether it's a horizontal line, whatever, it doesn't matter. So whatever you marked off that you were waiting for that price to be violated, you can come back and touch it, or 50% of the candle, either or. And once that's happened, I put a position, a pending buy or a sell, depending which way I'm going, on that breakout candle to get the momentum to push it up, because sometimes it will keep coming and it won't do it. Now, does that mean I never lose? No, because sometimes it will do the 50%. I will put my buy, it will go and spike me in, and then it will go up a little further and it will start coming back again. So, yeah, there are times that nothing is 100%. That's the first thing you've got to learn, is that nothing is 100% in trading. I know excellent traders, really good traders, and they lose. And I don't mind losing. I had this working one day. I was in a good mood, and somebody came up to me and she said, she worked with me. She said, I said, oh, how's the trade going? I said, good. I just had my 11th loss in a row on Great British New Zealand. She goes, what? I said, yeah. She said, well, why are you smiling? I said, because I know that I'm due. It's coming. I just got in too early. And she had a good comment back. She said, yeah, but the amount you're going to make is probably not enough to take care of all those losses. And I said, nah, we'll see. I think it will. And needless to say, it did. And, the conversation afterwards was, he said, you were so confident I was going to, you were so happy. I said, yeah, I was confident. And, but I also learned something too. Not just winning the trade, but I learned something. The art of patience, not to rush in, to take a breather, understand that, hey, this could happen, so let's wait to see what happens. Patience, right? And then when I add that to, I don't think I've ever had 11 losses in a row ever again now. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Didn't really check it. I'll actually check it and I'll let you know. But you are constantly tweaking, you are constantly changing, right? I have been all of a sudden trading on the 1 hour. I never traded on the 1 hour. I'd look for entry, but it would always be 4 hour. But now I've gone to the 1 hour. Why? Because the market is dictating that I do that. It doesn't want me in too much. And I shudder. I even went to a 15-minute the other day on gold. So it's like, yeah, things change. So I didn't trade the 15-minute chart. I was actually on the 1 hour looking for a confirmation. Because remember this, so you trade the higher time frames, but for something to happen on the higher time frame, something has to happen first on the lower time frame. Does that make sense? So I wanted to see, I'm looking for this to happen, but what's the 15-minute doing? I want to see that. Oh yeah, I got a while, yeah, I'm going to wait. So I waited, and then waited for, it went up, created something, came back down, waited for it to come back down, and then I entered it. So I won't go into full detail, but the point is I looked at the 15-minute first. And this is why when you start to understand how I trade using one of the, you know, I trade swings, right? So, you know, from a high to a low, a retracement to a lower high, and then an expansion down to a lower low, or the other way around. But that's what I look for, swings. And I typically look for them on the 4-hour, daily, 4-hour, 1 hour, right? 1 hour is when I'm trading, right? Entry on the 1 hour, right? So if I have something on the 4-hour and I have a rule, it might swing from a high to a low or a low to a high. It has to be 4 candles. So I'm looking at the day and I'm going, oh, that's coming down, but you know what? I need four candles here, which means I need 4 days. But am I going to get that? Let's see what the 4-hour is doing, because if I have 2 daily candles, I for sure I've got some kind of swing on the 4-hour. And I look to see where it is. Oh, it's retracing. Oh, you know, I'm going to wait, right? So what is the 1 hour doing? Has the 1 hour fulfilled its, you know, level, or what's going on? So it's not just from one side to the other. You have to do both, in my opinion, anyway. So stands to reason that if something's going to happen on a higher time frame, something has to happen on the lower one before it to happen on the higher one. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, the getting back to the journey itself. You know, if you have, you know, one of the things we like a community is because people can share, right? And a lot of the times, people will share things to me, and I said, wow, you know, yeah, that's great. And it's great that you look for this and you look for that, but maybe you need to simplify it. Maybe it doesn't need to be so, you know, grandiose. For me, I look at, okay, if you're on, let's say, the 4-hour, 1 hour, whatever it is you're on, and you're looking for the market, it's going up, right? And it's going up nicely, but you're looking to sell the market for whatever reason, but it's going up. It is what is. This is what a lot of my students struggle with. It's like you said, you're looking for it to go down, but it's going up. Yes, but you have to understand it's going up because it's probably creating some pattern. So we look at the lower time and say, oh, have we got a reversal pattern? What are reversal patterns? You know, if you're selling double top, triple top, you know, a support, a resistance level, you know, could be creating what? A head and shoulders. A head and shoulders goes up, comes back down, goes up higher, comes back down, and then goes back up again, and then drops back down, right? We have a king's crown. The difference between a king's crown is that when it comes back down, it actually takes out the previous low. It doesn't you know, go stop before it. It actually takes out the price. Goes a little lower. I like the king's crown better than the head and shoulders. Although I actually saw a statistic that on the 15-minute, on the lower time frames for the 1 hour down, the head and shoulders has a better track record than the king's crown. I never checked it, so I don't know. So, you know, so if you're looking, so let's say you're looking, you want to trade down to a level, so you've got to look for something. So what do you look for? Well, you look for a pattern that says bearishness. So you can have a bearish head and shoulders, which will be from the high down, back up, back down, back up, and then boom, boom, and then boom. So, you know, you have the shoulder, right? So I think I did that wrong. So the market's coming up, makes a peak, comes back down, goes back up, makes a higher peak, comes back down, right? Gets stuck there, right? Support, goes back up to make another mini peak, and then goes down and hits that neckline, they call it, breaks the neckline, tests the next line, and then goes down. It's great. There's nothing wrong with that trade. You wanted to do it, so you were looking for that pattern. you see that pattern form. But you will see that that pattern is just a three-legged move, right? So we will have these videos that will show you and help you. You'll be able to understand them better. And I know, you know, people are like, you know, we want to know, tell us this, tell us that, tell us that, and I get it. And yeah, thanks, Diego. It's more, you know, that I need your mindset to be, this is a journey, not a quick fix, right? And, you know, I've been, you know, sort of showing you guys levels on how to find trades, how to find the direction of the market for this week. We use previous week's candles. Now we're going to use previous month's candles. And I promise you, I will do a video and I will put it on here. We're trying to think of a name of what to put it in the channel, the method or whatever. What is it, you know, we're looking at, and you have to have that bias. So we want to create something like, oh, I'm looking for a trade on the Great British JPY. Now, I'm looking to sell it. Why? Because I want to give more context. Say, well, JPY is looking to increase interest rates as per Eurodollar, he said, and that's true, right? And the Great British Pound, blah, blah, blah. Like, so we get these biases and explain why. So, and this is where I'm at this level, and this is the reason why I'm looking for a sell. So we've got it fundamentally, we got it technically. So there could be a trade that goes against the norm. A lot of the times I'm going against the trend of what people say. What they don't understand is that, well, hold on a minute, right? You're seeing a trend up, but that's got to come down for a correction. So there are, like on a daily chart, you want to trade a daily chart, we have a 20/20 method, which is the institutional bankers, and I learned this from one of my mentors. It was really funny. There was a whole bunch of us, and somebody said, "Well, would it be easier just to trade off the daily chart, and we don't have to worry about all this stuff?" And he said, "Well, actually, when I was with Citibank, he said we used to have a trade where if you're a buyer, if the trend is up." There was more to the question because somebody asked, well, how do you define the trend? They used a daily chart. So very quickly, if they had 20 highs in a row, right? Not the same level, but there's a high, then the market goes and makes another high, and then it makes another high. So if they get 20 of those in a row, they will look to buy further because they believe it's a big uptrend, right? Hopefully you understand that. The next comment from our mentor woke me up. He said, the trouble is, he says it only works 20% of the time. And I heard that, well, hold on a minute. So you're telling me when you have a 20 there, that it's only 20% of the time it keeps going? So it goes back down 80%, it actually goes down? He goes, yeah. I goes, well, how far? And he says, oh, you know, I don't really know. I never really looked at it, but you know, sometimes I don't really know. So inquisitive me, I said, well, we should look at maybe not buying it, but selling it. So I started to look into it. And I'm telling you, sometimes these markets will go down 400-500 plus pips. Why? Well, it's the fundamental, oh, I want to buy, but I want to buy low, right? So I started to realize that, hey, this is going, the market's going really up, but it's got to have a correction. When you see it spiking up like this with very little retracement, it's going to have a correction. So, yeah, we used to get some killer trades on there. So, you know, 2020 is great, but you combine the 2020 with other stuff, it's fantastic. There's a little more to that because that strategy got really developed more so to make it stronger. So that's something I watch. Anyway, got another question here. When it comes to high time frame, which one is most important for the market? like now. Oh, okay. Well, good question. Good question. So we've just ended a month, so we're in a new month. So the most important one from today is the monthly. Because what was the direction over the month? So if we had a solid direction to the upside on a monthly, right, that candle, I'm looking at that monthly candle and I'm expecting a retracement. When the market's open tomorrow and Monday, I'm expecting a retracement to the 50% of that candle. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, because the week starts the same time as the month, we need to look at the week too. And we need to define and mark off those 50%. And then we use the close and open level as a level of support or resistance. Wherever we are, if we're down, it's, you know, it's going to be support. If we're up, it's resistance. So we need, wherever they are, we need to be below that on a daily to say, yeah, now I'm looking to trade that down to that level, because it could go up a little further. It still could. So we always, at the beginning of the month, look at the monthly, and then every week we look at the weekly. Now the daily provides, throughout the week, the daily will provide a level of, you know, support or resistance. So when you've marked off a level on a weekly, and then you're looking to trade it, you use the daily levels. Say, oh, do I have a 50% here? Oh, I do. So if you want to buy, oh, I want it to come back to that 50%, act as support, and then trade it up. Typically, I do the same thing. Wait till it retraces and then put it up on the high or the open close, whichever it is. But if you go to a lower time frame, you can get another set of levels. One of the things we have to think, hopefully that helped, I don't know, I mean, you know, I think this is where these trainings will come and help. One of the things that you have to understand is that when we've defined the level, right, you just trade accordingly, and it's like a range. I think I've done that a couple of other podcasts, is that you're defining a range. And if the market's down the low, it's at support, and you're trading it up to resistance. But we also know that this is on a weekly. So how many days are there going to be in a week, right? 6.5. So you've got daily candles during that week. So you do the same with the daily candles and then the 4 hour. So that's where it is. Anyway, I just noticed that it's 10:34. Wow, did time go fast? So yeah, thank you for joining me. I hope that was helpful. We will be back in full force as the dynamic duo. As Isaac will join me next week. So until then, trade safe, everybody. And if you need any help, if you want to ask a question, don't forget to email us, and hopefully we can, you know, help you with your journey. That being said, have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.